At this point, it's assumed you know what Joomla is, how it works on a technological level with PHP and MySQL, and you know how to install it. If you don't know these things, please go watch Installing and Running Joomla 3, Local and Web-Hosted Sites, including the Introduction and Chapter 1. So this is that course here at lynda.com, and if you'll scroll on down the page a little bit, the introduction here talks about Joomla, including what it is, and how to run it either locally or on a web host. And Chapter 1 is going to cover how to install Joomla locally, working with WAMP on a Windows computer or MAMP on a Macintosh computer. Now, while I cover installing Joomla here in those environments, I do not cover installing WAMP or MAMP. If you run into issues with that, then you'll want to take a look at David Gassner's course, Installing Apache, MySQL, and PHP. If you are a Windows person, you're going to want to go to Chapter 3, Installing WAMP Server on Windows. And if you're a Mac person, you're going to want to go to Chapter 4, Installing MAMP on Mac OS X. And that will get you started. So to start this course, the best way to do this right now is for you to go install a brand new fresh copy of Joomla. Just go on ahead and install it. What I'm going to do along the way in the course of this particular course is I will be making backups at the end of each one of the chapters and putting those in your exercise files folder. These are jump-in files that you can install at any point in time to follow along with a specific chapter, or if you've just gotten things confused along the way and you want to start with a fresh copy of something. You don't need to install these each time. They're just there in case you happen to need them. And right now I'm going to show you how to install from those jump-in files. If you're just starting this course from the very beginning, I recommend you just go download the most recent version of Joomla, whatever it happens to be, and install that on your computer rather than installing from my backup files here. All right, so if you'll start by going to your exercise files folder in Chapter 1, in folder 01_01, you'll see these two files here, and this is what you're going to see every single time for these jump-in files. You'll see a zipped file called Joomla, and you'll see a separate file called joomla.sql. The zipped file contains all of the files that make up Joomla, mostly PHP files, some image files, some CSS, and so forth. And the SQL file, of course, is the database information. What we're going to need to do to make this work for Joomla is we're going to need to import the SQL database, and we're going to need to unzip the Joomla files. Now, I'm doing this here on my computer working with WAMP, but the Macintosh process is pretty much the same as well. So what we're going to start by doing is, if you're doing this in WAMP, you're going to go to C, you're going to go to WAMP, and you're going to go to the www folder. If you're doing this on the Mac, you're going to go to your Applications folder, go to the MAMP folder, and then go inside of the htdocs folder. That's going to put you in the same location. What you're going to want to do is make a folder here called Joomla. And that folder right now will be empty. What you're going to do is unzip the contents of the zipped Joomla file and just extract those contents right on into your Joomla folder. And so while that's unzipping, then I'm going to go into Chrome here, and I'm going to go to MySQL, which on a PC is localhost/phpMyAdmin. If you're on a Mac, you'll need to go to localhost:8888/phpMyAdmin, and you'll come to the same screen. From here, you're going to make a database. So if you click on the Databases button up here on the top, up here where it says Create a Database, just enter Joomla as a name and say Create. And it'll tell you that that database Joomla has been created. Over here on the left side of the screen, if you click on Joomla, from here we can import that joomla.sql file from the exercise files folder. And we'll do that by clicking on this Import button here. And we'll choose a file by browsing to our desktop, and then to our exercise files folder, Chapter 1, 0101, and then joomla.sql, and say Open. And you don't need to change any of these other settings here. Just go ahead and hit the Go button down at the bottom. And in a moment, this will go ahead and import all of the database information for wherever you happen to be at that point in the course. And when that import is complete, you'll get a message stating that the import is complete and everything has been brought into the system. Okay, so now our files have unzipped here as well. So here they are in that Joomla folder, inside of my www folder, inside of my WAMP folder. Mac people, of course, this is inside of your htdocs folder, inside of your MAMP folder in your applications. Mac people, there's an extra step in this process that's just for you. PC people, you can skip over this part. You have all of the files that you need to get up and running, and all of those files are configured correctly because I've recorded this course using a PC. Mac people, there is a file called configuration.php, which has a few settings inside of it that are different on the Mac than they are on the PC. And what I'd like for you to do now is I'd like for you to look inside your exercise files folder, copy this file into Applications, MAMP, htdocs, Joomla. Inside of your Joomla folder there, you will find a file called configuration.php. Just delete that file and replace it with the one you're copying from the exercise files folder. This has all of the correct settings for working with MAMP, the correct password for the database, and once you've got that in place, you should be ready to run Joomla. So we're going to open up a new tab here. We're going to go to localhost/Joomla if you're on a PC. And this is the screen that you should see. If you're on a Macintosh, it's going to be localhost:8888/Joomla, and you should see the same screen. So that's the front end of the website. To go to the back end of the website, we're going to go to localhost/Joomla/administrator. That's for you PC people. For Mac people, it's localhost:8888/Joomla/administrator. And again, if you're working with these jump-in files, your username will be admin and your password will also be admin. And that should log you into the back end of your Joomla website. If you've installed Joomla yourself, you'll probably have a different username and password. But at this point, you should be able to follow along with me in the rest of the course without any other problem.